Okay, and we are live.
Woo.
Welcome, everybody. We hope that we are about to bring a little bit of joy to your lives by chatting about some romance today. The world is very bleak right now, and so chatting about some lovely love will be a nice thing to do. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Katrina, and today I am joined by the lovely, let me get this arrow right, Hayley. Hayley came and chatted to me. What did we chat about last time, Hayley? I've forgotten.
This time next year.
That's right. We reviewed This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins right before New Year so that you could get it in there before the new year. And today we are going to be talking about the buddy reads that we did in February because we committed to reading a Christina Lauren novel every week in February. And I added a couple of extra because Hayley had already read two of them. And
Yeah.
so I read six, you read four, we chatted about them. And today we are going to be talking about all six novels. I have them all here. Here we go. All six. All of mine are library books as well. I'm quite
going to say,
pleased
you've
with
got
that.
all actual copies as well.
All actual copies. Well, one is the audio CD because I listened to most of them on audio, with one exception, which we'll get into when we get to it. But we're going to talk through all six novels. And if you wait around until the end, or if you're watching this after the fact, scroll to the end, you will find out which one we picked, each of us have picked as our favourite novel. So thank you so much for being here today, Hayley. I'm excited. I like the fact that you're willing to go live, do live book reviews with me, like rogue thing. So yeah, and in the description box below, I have links to Hayley's socials, her blog, and I think I put your Instagram in there as well. And I also have links to all of the novels that we're talking about. So if you want to go and read the blurb, buy yourself a copy. If we make it sound so amazing that you have to go and buy yourself a copy, it's linked in the description box below. So whether you're watching this live or afterwards, I think it will still show up. Okay. Are we ready to jump into our Christina Lauren discussion?
Yep, definitely ready.
Okay, so the two that Hayley read without me were Twice in a Blue Moon and The Honeymooners. Get this right. The Honeymooners. This is the one I have on CD. This one I have in hardback, but I did listen to both of these on audio. Did you do these audio, ebook? How did you read these ones?
Both of those ones were audio books from the library.
Fab. Yes, yeah, I think both of these I did audio from the library as well, so that's great. And I have the physical copies from the library. So jumping into Twice in a Blue Moon, first of all, I cannot get the direction of this right. There we go. Twice in a Blue Moon. This is Sam and, let me remind myself, Tate fell for each other when was it Tate was on holiday or Sam was on holiday, or were they both on holiday? I can't remember now.
Both on holiday in London.
Oh, yes, of course. Right, okay.
London.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah. So they met on holiday. She has a famous father and she kind of let him in on this. And then something happens, and then for the next, would you say like half or 2/3 of the book where we jump ahead?
Yes, and it's just over half, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, just
the jump ahead and then the jump ahead.
Yeah, 3/5. There we go. The next 3/5 of the book, we jump ahead and revisit them in the future when perhaps they meet again.
Yeah.
No big spoilers, obviously. I think if you can't already tell, I think we both really, really loved the first half of this book and the London setting and the romance. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. Like for me, reading about London while I'm in London, but I can't really see a lot of London, it was nice because I felt like I was being a tourist in my own city through an American's view, which was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first half was quite intense, and Tate and Sam's friendship changed quite quickly. Yeah. Until obviously then the book changes when they're not in London and they're separate paths, so to speak. But I think in some aspects it had me reminiscent of Page Toon with the Jessie Jefferson books, because it's a very similar situation with both the daughters, although Tate was completely different to Jessie in the way she is. Probably a little bit naive like her as well, but very, very different in their mindset and age, I guess.
Yeah, I really like that celebrity aspect of it. I think, as you say, that's what I like about Johnny and the Jessie Jefferson books. I think I like that kind of glimpse into celebrity lifestyle. It almost feels like you're kind of going into a bit of a reality TV show, which will come up again in one of our other novels that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I really enjoyed the celebrity aspect of it, and that kind of not everything's as glamorous as it appears, and not everything's as black and white as it appears when it comes to celebrity scandals and celebrity gossip,
which is quite prominent in the news now. Not everyone knows what happens behind closed doors.
Exactly. But yeah, I really enjoyed definitely the first part of the book as opposed to the second part of the book. In the second part of the book, I almost felt wistful of, can we return to that bit, please? I also really liked the celebrity aspect, and then I really liked Sam's journey. I know Tate was our main character and we were supposed to kind of almost sympathize with her a bit more, but I feel like I sympathized with Sam a lot more, especially having read the full thing. I kind of felt like I was leaning more towards being on his side in certain things as I was reading it. But when I got to the end, I was like, yeah, I really feel for him.
It was a big thing, and I think it was so subtly done that you didn't know what way it was going to go. You almost guessed it, but there was a lot more to it. It's not, like you say, it's not very black and white. There is a massive grey area, and you can see it was a place of love from Sam.
Yeah.
And I felt sad for him, because you could see through the story that he didn't want to do what he did. Not really, because of obviously they're I don't want to say too much, but it changes a friendship when you go over certain boundaries, and I don't think he thought that through. He just thought what he needed for his family.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say about spoiling.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, the fact that I didn't enjoy the sort of second part of the book as much as the first part of the book, I think made it less memorable for me, because obviously you finish in the second part of the book. And so, yeah, when I was filming my wrap up, I mixed it up with another book. And so, yeah, I think that it's definitely not made it onto the short list of favourites, but Sam as a character I did really enjoy, and I enjoyed definitely the London aspect of the book and the celebrity aspect of the book.
Yeah, I think with the second half of the book, you were kind of almost fast forwarding to find out what happened and whether it was resolved, rather than in the first half you're kind of just enjoying it going along, the story and their touristy aspects and friendship, rather than like anything else. But yeah, the second half was a bit like you just wanted to know by then.
Yeah, it did make me miss going into London as well. And like, I think it must be harder for you because you're like in London but not able to go out and experience all that they did, whereas at least I'm 5,000 miles away.
Exactly. I mean, I suppose I could, but it's one of them things, like it's not an essential journey to just go around. But
stay home, stay safe.
it was a nice way to kind of remember it's still there.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we probably both felt a little bit like that reading Mind the Gap, Dash and Lily as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Especially with all the aspects of going around and seeing the Christmas trees and the lights. Like for me, Covent Garden Christmas tree is one of my favourite things to look at. Whether I actually have pictures by it or not is more less to the point. But next time I can, I think there's going to be like thousands of pictures of just one bloody tree because I'll be able to go near it.
Yeah, Covent Garden at Christmas is so Christmassy anyway. It's like so magical. I have like lots of pictures from over the years of being there as well. Okay, we did also mention that we both did that one on audio, and I think that the audio was really good for that one. I think the narrators were excellent, and it felt good on audio. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was really nice audio. It was an easy listen, didn't struggle with the narration at all.
Yeah. It's important that we mention that because we do have some criticism of a couple of these on audio. So,
we're very
Unhoneymooners. Did you do this one on audio too?
Yep, that was audio as well. Same from the library.
And this one is the actual CD version from the library, which I did not listen to because you can't speed up a CD. And as we know, I listen to my audiobooks on double speed. So, do you speed yours up at all?
I've tried to, but it depends on the story, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I end up going back to just normal speed.
Yeah. So you'd be all right with the CD. Audio CDs. So this one was one that totally engaged me from the start. I love the fact that we have our main character, Olive, who is a twin. Like that intrigued me from the start. And then her twin is super into like getting bargains, getting stuff for free, like couponing. I totally identified with that. And basically, Olive ends up going on her twin's honeymoon because her twin is unable to and has to go with her sworn enemy. I mean, if that is not like the tropiest of tropes, I don't know what is. Like, you know, forced to share one bed, like enemies to lovers kind of thing. Like, you know, again, no spoilers, but it's a romance novel. It's fairly predictable anyway. But like, it's like the most tropiest of tropes. And then the fact that they're identical twins, and yeah, this is like pulling every single trope you can think of, put it into a big mixing bowl, and you get this. But
it's true. It's definitely one of those books that I heard a lot of people talking about and bigging it up. And at first I was a bit like, oh, this is either going to be as amazing as everyone said, or it's going to let me down. But it was laugh a minute from the beginning.
Yeah, I really love the fact that it wasn't a grower. You're like thrown into this wedding action, and you know that this wedding is going to turn out to be a bit of a nightmare. And oh my goodness, I found it really hard. There's a lot of talk of her bridesmaid's dress at the very beginning, and I mean, I enjoyed that because she's obviously a curvier lady, and you know, everything that comes with wearing a strapless dress when you have curves. But I found it really hard to picture because everyone kept talking about how like not nice this dress was. I found it really, really hard to picture because it kept coming back to the dress. I'm like, I need to see a picture of this dress. I want to know what they had on their like Pinterest board when they were writing this novel for the dress.
Yeah, it did make you really want to see what it was and how random it was gonna come across in reality, rather than just imagining that reality. Yeah, I would be intrigued to see what they had as a Pinterest for that.
Yeah, the inspiration. But it's interesting because I mentioned how like I'd kind of almost forgotten quite a few aspects of Twice in a Blue Moon. I'm talking about the bridesmaid's dress. I can tell you exactly where I was when I started listening to the audiobook of that. I was waiting to pick up a pizza from Pizza Hut just down the road, and like I can picture myself in my car starting listening to it. And the fact that I remember that they were twins, and I remember that, you know, she's curvier, and I remember that she's super into couponing. It's definitely like engaged me quickly from the start, and it's also stuck with me a lot more.
It was quite vivid, especially when they go on the honeymoon, the cocktails, the different evenings, the food. It had you constantly remembering things, I suppose, in that sense.
Yeah. And this is another one where, you know, if you're missing travel a bit, Twice in a Blue Moon will take you on vacation to London. This one takes you off to Hawaii.
Exactly.
I mean, what more could you want? And, you know, obviously it being a honeymoon, and they won it in a competition, they get all the upgrades and all the couples massages and all the excursions that you could want. I really wanted that couples massage. Be like, I'll just take both for me. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Definitely. Same. However, we know from the synopsis that they have to be constantly lying in order to maintain the fact that they're on each other's siblings' honeymoons.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the lying?
It was funny at first, and then when it got to I can't remember his name, but when she meets the guy that's basically connected to her job and she's lying, it's like you're taking it to a level that you can't keep. And I could just see trouble brewing from that. Like, I mean, he found it hilarious, which was brilliant. Like the flirty banter and the constant monologue of them two battering each other back was like a tennis match. It was brilliant. And it's one of them books, like you say, it's one of them ones that takes you away from everything that's going on right now, and you can just laugh, and it makes you almost miss silly stuff with friends, colleagues, I know, potential partners or whatever, because it's so fun.
Yeah,
I could see the lying was gonna backfire pretty quick once that happened, and I wasn't sure how she was going to redeem herself.
It's interesting because exactly like you, that point in the book is the point where I was like, I feel a little bit uncomfortable about the lying. I was fine with her lying, like, you know, pretending to be her sister. Like, they basically got the same name apart from the fact that she's called Olive. Like, aside from that, like, and also the fact that they'd won this, so it was non-transferable. Somebody should benefit from it. Absolutely fine with that. But once they got to the part where she was then unfortunately ran into her new potential boss, that was a bit like, oh, I don't like it now. And I can kind of see where some of the backfiring that happens with the lying, again, like no spoilers of exactly what, but you know there's going to be backfiring when you're telling lies in a romance novel. Some of the fallout from that, I think, was deserved.
Yeah, no, I totally, it was justifiable when, it's not really a spoiler, but the company that she works for, everything they're about is based on trust.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. I also really liked that she worked in science and had a STEM role. I love that. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Everything was based on trust, and everything that was being said in Hawaii amongst her employer was just, it was false. And when their whole ethos is trust and family and connections like that, it was like, this is never going to work. And I suppose, like you say, it's going to always be the downward spiral from then. It was just going to be how bad and whether she can get past that.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely loved the book. I found it very engaging. I found it very memorable. There was funny parts, there was sexy parts, there was relatable parts, but the lying, I think, just like tainted it a little bit for me. You know, if that was somebody that like regularly talked about star ratings, I think it would knock off like half a star for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because like you say, it's one of them things that you're never, like you say, with the line about winning the holiday and taking that and all the freebies. Yeah, everyone's done silly things like that. Like, how many people have gone on a girls trip and they've said it's someone's honeymoon or it's someone's hen party, and it isn't. They've just done it to get freebies. That's different. But when you're taking it that next step and it's gonna combat your day-to-day life, like at first you're helping out your sister because it's gonna get wasted, then it gets to a point you're gonna ruin your own career. It's a little bit silly.
Yeah. And I did the audio and enjoyed the audio. I thought that the narration was good.
Yeah,
did you agree?
100%.
It transitions us nicely into a book where the audio was not good. The audio put us off. We have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, which Hazel's parts being read were absolutely fine. However, Josh's parts, the narrator decided to put on this voice for Hazel that was almost like it was trying to be like comedic, like trying to be. It reminded me, and I sent you a YouTube clip of this because it reminded me of Fred Armisen when he plays women's parts on Saturday Night Live or in Portlandia, because it's just so like hammed up and ridiculous.
Yeah, but I done the whole thing on the audio.
So did I. That's the thing. So did I. I kept going with it, even though I had the paperback. Why did I not switch to the paperback?
If I'd have had the paperback, I think I'd have switched. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to say I didn't, because I really did enjoy Josh and Hazel, and there were some lovely aspects of friendship, and the sexiness was a bit mad. But yeah, if you're going to read this and you really want to seriously read this in a decent time frame, don't do the audio.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard. And until this point, up until this point, I'd listened to all of them, and I was really happy with the others that I'd listened to. But yeah, the voice was just annoying.
And think of me listening on double speed, aka everything's that little bit higher anyway, and then it was even sillier. Why did I not? I had the paperback. Why did I not pick it up?
I thought you switched.
I didn't end up switching in the end. I think I maybe talked about it and then didn't.
It was a different one. I think you did with another book.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. I did switch in another book because they're not all great on audio. But yeah, so this one was, I would say that this one was like comfortably predictable, because the tagline here says just friends, just friends, just friends. If they repeat it enough, maybe it'll be true. And so, you know, Josh and Hazel, friends forever, both having some issues in their dating life, and you know, you can see what's coming. Again, we've thrown in a couple of classic tropes in here, and this is what I love about reading a rom-com, is that there are certain aspects of it that are comfortably predictable. You don't want everything to be predictable. You want to see some twists and turns coming. But if you want something that's entirely not predictable, you pick a different genre. If you're reading romance, you're reading it for a certain level of predictability. And this was like, it felt very comfortable from the start, aside from being put off by the narration of the audiobook. Everything about it was like, this is nice, this is lovely. I think we disagree on the sexy bits and how sexy they were versus not. You said that there was some like very sexy bits.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, there were some aspects that were just out of nowhere, which was fine, but it's a good job I was listening by myself. It was a bit of a weird, like if you'd have been listening to it out in the open, people would have been a bit like, okay. I also liked the difference between obviously Josh and Hazel, the predictability of what the guy would be expected and what the girl would be expected to be like. I liked that they were the other way around, whereas he was more, I don't know how to say it without making Hazel sound like trash, but Hazel was more casual dating, whereas Josh was more seriously interested in aspects of a relationship, which is what I liked, because it was very different to what you kind of expect. But yeah, there were some levels that were, some that wasn't. I mean, I think in some ways it was also kind of off-putting by the voice because it was insane, but we go.
Yeah, I like that Josh was a one-woman man, whereas Hazel, I do feel like Hazel a little bit felt pressure to be more casually dating, because again, it's like the kind of societal norms that are put on you of like women are clingy and men date around and what have you. And so she was kind of like, I don't deny that like she wanted to date and she wanted to see other people, but I do feel like I think she felt a certain pressure to do that.
I think it was probably from aspects from the past that had come back to her, and she's just decided she needs to be this confident, dominant in some ways, and not giving too much of herself away. Whereas with Josh, it was different.
Yeah,
there was aspects where she tried to keep that persona, but it wasn't really there.
Yeah. I think it's nice because we as readers could see that she had this confident front, but we could see what she was kind of really feeling inside. And I think that, again, like you say, like this comes up quite a lot, that people seem very brash and very confident, but actually they're not handling it so well inside.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously the dates that they go on, which are humorous, to name a few, but you can see by their choices for the other as to how serious they were about it and not, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't think we talked about this, but this one felt, so the characters were sort of slightly younger, not teenagers younger, but like early 20s younger, right?
Yeah.
And so this one and another one that we're going to talk about, I feel like they feel like almost like, no, like new adult gets a bad rap as just being like sexy, but this one almost felt like new adult. It felt like it bridged that gap between young adult and adult. So it's not adults in their 30s, you know, we're not on the road to like marriage and babies just yet. They have that time to date around and explore what that means for each of them. And so it did feel, yeah, it definitely felt younger than a lot of the rom-coms that you and I read.
Yeah, no, I totally would agree with that. It's because I think they're more like they would be uni level, I suppose. Although
or like graduates. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she is a teacher. And I like that sometimes she was too tired to do anything, because that's the reality of teaching.
Yeah. You can answer that better than me.
Yes. Like, plan to go on a date, but then be like, I can't keep my eyes open any longer. I just need to go to bed.
Bye. Can't do it.
Like, if you want to come over, you can watch me sleep. That's fine. That's it. But yeah, it was definitely like, it wasn't like standout amazing. I enjoyed reading this. I liked the predictability of it. The romance was sweet, and I like the fact that, yeah, they are a bit younger. It's like reading graduate romance, like just recently released into the world. Yeah. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yeah. What's the next one? I can't remember.
The next one is
yes.
Roomies.
Yeah.
We're excited by this one. Yeah. Again, I have the paperback, but I did this one entirely on audio. And you can see from the cover what the setting is. I love the cover of this one. And it's I think this is one of the ones where the UK cover is the same. It's quite a few of these are quite different.
Yeah. I think it's the same.
But yeah, love the New York setting. And the first thing that I noticed about this setting is the fact that Holland, our lovely main character, lives in an apartment on her own in Hell's Kitchen, Midtown Manhattan, but these writers explain how she does that, because we all know that that isn't actually possible. You know, we've all watched Friends and been like, these people are never at work, but they've got these massive lofts in the middle of New York. How are they affording it? I like the fact that we had this explained to us. Yes. I like,
Yeah.
well done, Christina Lauren, for keeping it real. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, the tagline for this one is from Subway to Broadway to Happily Ever After. And I'm like, whoever wrote that just gets this novel, because it's like, yes, I love this. And we've had fake honeymoon. Here we have fake marriage, the fake marriage trope. I feel like we've gone through every single trope there is. The fake marriage trope, not just fake dating, but fake marriage. But yes, and you particularly enjoyed the narration of the audiobook for this one, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It was oh, it was good. Having an Irish voice is always great for me. And I don't know how I've got through like the first couple of Christina Lauren, not even knowing how. No one had said to me, there is an Irishman, there is a guitar, there is theatre, there is New York, there is everything you can think of that you'd want in a novel.
It's been written for you.
Exactly. And I got to it this late, so I'm glad it was one of our choices for this. And
yeah,
I honestly don't know how anyone that knows me hadn't said to me, why have you not read this? Because I loved it.
Yeah.
It was a very, very up and down read. Like you say, certain romance novels, you got the element of predictability, but there was so much more in this one. There were so many little twists and turns, and I loved how diverse Holland's family set up was as well. That was really interesting, and I think that Christina Lauren's literally gone through and ticked off so many aspects of what people want to read that's different to your norm in just the one novel.
And yet it doesn't feel like it's a tick box activity.
No.
It's like, here are these characters, this is just how they are, here's this marriage, this is just how it is, this is how life is for them.
Yeah, it doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel like it's been written to be against the different diverse genres, but it covers it so well. Like, I mean, I can't totally answer half of that information, but it does cover it really well.
Yeah, definitely. And we have the fact that Calvin, fake husband, Subway guitarist, but actually, you know, so much more than he seems on the surface. He is Irish, and so they touch upon the visa system here in the United States, and how complex and difficult and horrible it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And they didn't go too deeply into it, but I appreciated the fact that they didn't make everything seem easy.
Definitely.
It's not. It's really not. But I was glad that it didn't go too deeply into it, because then it would have felt like work reading the novel. I'm like, yeah, when you're dealing with visa stuff, you want it to be represented realistically, but you don't want to have to deal with that in your fiction as well as in your real life.
Yeah, it wasn't too wordy in that sense. I know, like, obviously we listened to it, but it wasn't too complex, or it didn't have you glossing over it. It was explained in layman's terms, I guess, is the only way to describe it.
Yeah. And going back to the audiobook aspect, we have a narrator who could generally accurately switch between a US accent and an Irish accent.
I totally agree, and I hate that when not just on audio, but even in film. Like, there's an actress that I don't dislike, but she's not very good at doing that, and there's been a few films Notably one that's a very good book, but the film I would never watch again because of that alone. It's annoying. And
I really have to know
yeah,
who it is now. What is it?
One Day with Anne Hathaway. Her switch from don't do a Yorkshire accent if you can't do it. It's annoying. And then she flips
No,
back
and
in.
you're not even watching it as someone who's from Yorkshire.
Exactly. Exactly. I loved
Yeah.
the book so much, and I wanted so much from that film. But yeah, I'm so glad
Yeah.
that me and my sister kept saying we'd go and watch it at the cinema, and we didn't actually watch it at the cinema because I'd have been that annoying person that starts talking in the middle, going, "She's not doing it," and I've seen her do it in a few other films as well. It's like, I love that you attempt it.
Yeah. I think she doesn't do a bad kind of like sort of general English, like a sort of Surrey accent.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, but she doesn't do that too badly.
Yeah, no, I'd rather them, or whether it be an audio book or in a film, I'd rather them just do their own accent if they can't do it fully. But like you say, the audio was the switch was good, and you could tell. Okay, so we're going back to, or we're going to, and it was easily like sometimes, like as we've already said, sometimes the male voice or the female voice can't get the other voice well, and then it's off-putting.
Yeah, because you feel like you're watching a pantomime instead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the subject of narration in audiobooks is a whole space for another video. But I think given the fact that we're kind of reviewing these books, it's relevant that we touch on what we thought the narration was like, specifically. But yeah, I mean, audiobook narrators, that's their job. They're paid to do that, or else they're like actors and actresses who are reading the audiobook. Again, it's their job. They're paid to do it properly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And like writers, if you have a Scottish, Irish, any kind of regional character in your novel, get someone who is either from there or can do that accent well to read your book. No, or else authors avoid writing regional characters in your book if you want them to be a decent audiobook.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. It can make such a difference.
Yeah, but yeah, Roomies, it kind of had a bit of everything for me, and the chemistry between the main characters, I think it stands out as, I feel like for me personally reading it, out of all the 6 books, they had the most chemistry.
Definitely, and I think it was the easiest one to put your thoughts down about what you wanted to say. There was so much to say and so much you couldn't say without ruining it as well. And their journey was extraordinary. The backstories that you wasn't expecting that come in at the last minute, and you're like, it had everything in that sense.
Yeah, all with this New York City setting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. When you say it was an easy one to pen your thoughts, are you saying, Hayley, that I should hurry up and sit down and write my review already?
Well, to be fair, I haven't written my review of the last one we read.
Okay, we'll come on to that one.
And I'm worried that I'm not going to have remembered enough to do it justice.
Well, we're about to have a discussion about it, so you'll be okay. All right, we're coming back to audios where I wasn't so keen on the narration. So let's move on to my favorite half night stand. I was about to say by Christina Lauren. Like the title of this video is that we're reviewing Christina Lauren novels. Okay, so this one I began on audio and then I switched to this beautiful library book copy of it because, like quite a few of their novels, this one has a lot of mixed media. and I didn't like the way the like message boards and text messages between characters were being read out by the narrator. I found it made the audiobook drag. And once I picked up the paperback of this one, I absolutely flew through it. I texted you and was like, I've picked it up and I can't put it down. I think I'm going to finish. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, see, this one, there isn't a UK audio of this, so I did the ebook. And like you say,
Yeah.
I think it makes such a difference of having the pictures, the little thumbnails of the WhatsApp group, and
Yeah.
I think it made a difference, and it made you flick through things quicker because it seemed that bit faster because you had all the fonts and the different aspects, which broke it down a bit as well. It wasn't so wordy in its explanation because you had all the chats as well.
I'm trying to find, because there were like this particular one, it's like this chapter here begins and then there's like 2 or 3 pages until you get to actual like prose, because there's discussions between the characters. There are texts and like you say, WhatsApps as well in here, and I think there's emails too. So I think this one definitely lends itself better to actually reading if you've got access to be able to read it on ebook or paperback. I think it definitely works out better than doing the audio. But I started the audio and then switched, whereas you went straight in with the ebook.
I couldn't get an audio here in the UK. Everywhere I looked was not. I think they might do it as a CD, but I wouldn't have received it in time. So just did the ebook. But obviously, once you'd said that, I was quite glad, because of the font, the way the font is laid out, the layout. It was better to do it that way anyway.
But it's interesting that between the two of us, we can vouch for the paperback, the ebook, and the audiobook.
Yeah.
So you're getting a fully formed review of this one. We don't need to write a written review on our blog. We reviewed it together.
No, I've reviewed this one. It's the other one that I haven't.
I'm just making excuses for myself because I haven't penned written reviews for any of them. I have the drafts. No, I have the drafts ready to go. I just haven't written my reviews. I've been
excuses. You were doing other things for publication. That always trumps other stuff. Whereas I'm a bit behind on stuff.
Yeah. This one for me as well. So we haven't talked about what this one's actually about. So Millie. There's a black tie gala coming out, and Millie is the only girl in her group of friends, and the group of friends are all talking about like how they can't go to this black tie gala single and they need to take someone, and so they're all talking about like which one of them's going to take Millie, and so it springboards off of there, and then we have this concept of the half night stand and what that entails, and did Millie just realise that she just actually had one of these, and who was it with? Yeah, this one's very hard to talk about without spoilers, but I will say a bit like Josh and Hazel, this one felt like that younger rom-com, like what new adult would be if it hadn't gone down the road of just being like sexy sex.
No, definitely, I agree, especially with the way, like you say, as all the different layouts and the texting, the online dating and all the profiles and descriptions. So I broke it down.
You read this one very quickly as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did find that the chapters were really short, so it's easy to just go, oh, I'm already at 10%. Let's just read to 20%. Let's read to. And then I always find if I'm reading an ebook now, if I get to 60%, I'm going to finish it.
Oh, that makes me feel better, because I tell everyone that like once I hit 70%, there's no going back, and everyone's like 70%, or like, I've been chatting with Mum before, and she's like, oh, I've only got 5% left. Like, how did you leave it with 5%? Like, that makes me feel a lot better.
Unless I'm really, really tired, if I get to 60%, that's it. I'm banging it out now.
Yeah.
more so with audiobook because you or ebook because you can see the percentage. Paperback you can, but you don't get it in the same context.
Yeah, with a paperback, once I get to like 100 pages left, I'm like, can I do this? And if not, then I'll stop there and leave myself with 100 pages.
Yeah,
but if I'm like, I've got time, we're going for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, love the mixed media in this one. I didn't feel like there was as much chemistry in this one as we had in, say, for example, Roomies or Unhoneymooners. I didn't buy the chemistry as much, but I think maybe because there was like both of those were like, you know, the fake marriage. We had like strangers to lovers, and then we had enemies to lovers. Like friends to lovers is a different kind of chemistry, and so there was a gentle chemistry rather than a spark. Can you tell I've been watching some Love Island talking about sparks?
But I found with this one, it was like all of the other friends could see it, but they couldn't. And with the online dating side, you'd have thought, considering they know each other really, really well, I thought it would have come about a lot sooner than it did.
Yeah,
that's my only remark. That I expected him to realize a bit earlier, but then questioning, like with the dates that he had between the two, you can kind of see why he didn't realize.
Yeah,
because he was being a guy, really. It's the only way to describe it.
We also have to champion the fact that again we've got a female professor, and the fact that all of these people work in academia as well. Really like that. Yeah, and this one as well shows up the horrible world of online dating, which I always like when a novel does that. The horrible world.
And I like the way they showed, because obviously that Millie is the only girl in their group, they showed the differences in the responses to her and to them, and what's acceptable for girls and what's acceptable for guys. And I liked that all her guy friends were a bit like, oh, that's not right. And it made it, I suppose that's quite relevant to everything that's being discussed now. It makes you wonder whether your close guy friends or husbands or brothers actually realize what's appropriate. And I think that they did kind of realize what should and shouldn't be said. I mean, I know it all starts with who's taking Millie, and Millie's like, why am I going with any of you? I liked that they challenged that, and they could both see both sides to it.
Yeah, and again, a bit like in Roomies, the cast of characters was diverse as well, and kind of represents real life. There's a lot of real life in these books, on the level of you can relate this to what you experience in real life, and not like, oh, I'm having to deal with like all the rubbish that I'm having to deal with in my real life as well. It's real life but escapist.
Definitely. You can see aspects of it, even though if it's not 100% to you, or you know somebody that's gone through something similar.
Yeah. And then our final buddy read, which Hayley and I haven't actually, we kind of like finished this and then just moved on to our next buddy read the next day. And so we haven't chatted about this on text the same way as we have chatted about the others. So this is the most, before their Christmas novel, this was Christina Lauren's like most recent release. So we didn't read the Christmas one together. Oh, have you read Inner Holidays?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay. Which I have, which is amazing. Which was my first Christina Lauren read, which prompted this whole buddy read thing. But this was their summer release next year, which is interesting because we're talking about it before their summer release this year. That's coming out soon. Very exciting. I feel like we'll definitely have to buddy read that one.
Looks insane.
But we have the Honeyed Oak List, which features the two assistants of two people who have made a brand out of their interior design business. So think like Property Brothers in the US, think like Kirsty Allsop in the UK, like going in and doing the home things. They've got like a show and a website and a book, and then the fact that they're married as well. But we don't necessarily have them as main characters. We have their two assistants who are, very different people, don't like each other. It's the perfect jumping off point for a romance novel.
Yeah, no, it was so interesting with this one. Like I read, this was my paperback. Between, I'm getting names are escaping me. It was James and
Carrie.
Like you could see that they had a professionalism between them to a point. Although James, at first, I didn't really like James because I was like, you're coming across a bit snotty, and no one wants to work with the snotty person. That's very. Yeah. That's not my role. I am doing this. But then when the layers were brought down, you could see why James was the way he was, and his past employment kind of ruined his. Not ruined his work ethic, but they ruined his CV to a point because he couldn't use them in the way that he probably would have in a normal world. So you could see afterwards why he was the way he was. I liked seeing them banter each other to a point. And you could see it changing, and obviously there's a point when it changes a lot, but it was a grower in that sense because you could see them changing. They developed alongside each other. They were thrown in to an environment that neither of them really wanted to be in.
The only one bed trope.
But like, and all the drama that surrounded the couple that it is about, but it's not about. And it's another celebrity life that's not as it seems on the surface in more ways than one, down to even the designs are not as it seems, which was quite interesting. And yet again,
I loved that. I like the fact that it kind of exposed everything you see on social media as not real life.
And how much into it we were before you even realised how much was done by Carrie in an aspect. And that was like a slow reveal of that part. And I liked that she had, I mean, it's not the same in the UK, it's different the way medical aspects work, but I liked how they used the aspect of insurance and medical need and the urgency. And I think it was quite hard to read at times because you're thinking she's so young, she's going through all of this hardship and she's doing an amazing job, and the recognition is there, but it's not there. It's more there like a family aspect, like it's meant to be. You're given it, but you're not really given it. And there was aspects, I can't remember the guy, the actual couple, the husband, Rusty. There was elements of him that I really didn't like, but then there were other elements of him that I found quite humbling and like a father figure. And you could see that the strain that took its toll on him in the worst way. And I liked how, I don't want to say too much to a point, but it wrapped itself up in a way that was real, I suppose. It's another one that's
I love the ending of this one. But Melissa and Rusty are our like celebrity couple, and you can see that the like fame and accolades and recognition has affected them very differently, and they could both use some professional help with that. And I think that they both need professional help, but in different ways. And so I like that. But what you said about like insurance, health insurance being tied to your job over here, it's just like the fact that they expose that as part of the story. Again, it's real life, but we're dealing with it through fiction, and I like the fact that, again, we're bringing in like some real life problems. And yeah, like I saw a friend of mine tweet this morning, imagine what you would do in your job or in your professional life or in life in general if your health insurance wasn't tied to your job. Imagine how like freeing and liberating that would be.
Yeah, it is something that I don't have it's not something I can really speak of, because in the UK we have the NHS, which are strained at best, but they do an amazing job, and I can't comprehend having to be in, like, I've had, obviously, I've had different issues that where I'm needing to seek help, but it's not to the point that Kerry's at, and I don't know how to feel if I had to rely on being manipulated in some ways by work to get that. Whereas Melissa is a lovely character at heart, but she's lost her way massively. And I like seeing both sides of her, because on the camera she's amazing, and everything about her is something that you could actually see her as a TV presenter is the only way I can describe it. She's got that, right, cameras rolling and she's ready, she's got it, she's happy, she's laughing, she's joking, but deep down she's troubled. And the way they've written that is, it could be any TV personality, or you could base it on someone that's real, even though they're not. It's written in a way that it gives you both sides of the coin. And it was there was aspects of it where you felt sorry for her, then there was aspects that you could see why it had happened, but it's the way it snowballed. It was like, I hate doing it, and I've done it enough times in reviews by saying it's an emotional roller coaster, but it really is. She goes between them. They all four of them go through so much that this is another book where you've got the different aspects of text. And at the beginning, this is not a spoiler, but with all the police like reports, I was like, where is this going? And I think, to me,
like, why are we here?
Why are we at a police station? Why is this being documented?
So we've got transcripts of interviews, and then carry on, sorry.
And it did make me think at the beginning, where is this going? Like, is it gonna be a death or something? It just didn't, like, I didn't know where it was gonna head. And I think with that, because you can see the different text between that and then the standard text and then the text messages, it really helped you race through it, because you were just constantly like, where are we going with this? How far are we going to take this?
One of the other things that I really enjoyed about this one, aside from everything we've mentioned, was they go on book tour in this one with their new relationship book, and all the like different places that they go to, I could really recognize, because they went to real places. So they start off in Wyoming, where their house, cabin, whatever it is, and kind of like travel on this tour bus. And I was like, yes, I can picture this landscape, I can picture this setting really easily. Having
and the reality of the two main, Melissa and Rusty, had the decent hotel, and the other two were in some rubbish at the back end of nowhere, where the facilities were crap. And it gave you the real aspects. I'm not saying all publicists and that give everyone the raw deal, because I'm not going to say that, but it shows the difference in the status of the staff member and the celebrity.
Definitely.
Everyone knows in that sense there's always a hierarchy, but that was quite humorous.
Okay, well, we are just about at the end. We've reached our point now. So I think that definitely discussing through the books kind of helps me come to terms with which one's my favorite, and I think it's kind of obvious from our discussion as well. I will say that with the Honeydote list, I'd seen a lot of people say that they weren't so keen on that one. I think everyone had been like so buzzy about the Honeymooners. They were expecting something exactly the same from the Honey Don't List. And a lot of people have given kind of like mediocre reviews of it, whereas I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not my favorite though.
It was different. They're very different.
Yeah.
That they're set up, and I think we read a lot of books, so for us, anything that relates to
Do we? I hadn't noticed.
Anything that relates to books will always kind of have a different feel to us, rather than just people that read occasionally.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that one more than I thought I was going to. My favorite half night stand was a surprise. It was quite different, and I like the fact that I read this one as a paperback as well. It read very quickly, and I would recommend that to people. But yeah, I think we may be on the same page here. I loved Roomies. I really loved it. But like,
I wanted to finish, but I didn't want to finish.
Yes, exactly. I want to go back.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly. I really, really enjoyed that one. And Roomies was your favorite too.
Yeah, and I do think I've enjoyed doing this whole read-a-thon, read-along, whichever you want to call it. But yeah, they're very different, and I think Roomies just had so much that related to what I wanted to read, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if we want to be really realistic about this, if you're looking at a heartthrob, that's mine. Come on. It's mine. And I think that always makes a difference. If it's very on point to you, it'll read differently. Like, I loved the aspects of London in Twice in a Blue Moon. That gave me all the feels in that sense. But yeah, Roomies was just the one that stuck out for me in that sense.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I think going forward, I might, for the one that's coming, the Soulmate Equation, I might pre-order an actual paperback if it's before the book, because I want a physical. And I think with the physical ones, they're not that long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I probably will, unless it's out a long time after the ebook. Then I'll do it. But I don't know that audio's great, and I loved it for Roomies, but I think I would like something to hold next time.
Yeah, and especially I think because they do so much mixed media in their books as well. I think that having a physical copy when you've got emails and texts and instant messages and police transcripts to read and what have you, I think is valuable.
It does change your viewing and your reading aspect if you've got something else to look at. So yeah, I think I might try and go for the paperback, unless it's out like 4 or 5 months later. Then no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. I will say, going into this, I didn't expect us to have the same favorite, because we do pick out different things that we both like from books, and like sometimes, we don't always agree on what we do and don't like with certain books. And so I didn't expect us to have the same favorite, and then we ended up having the same favorite. I think that's so funny.
It is funny because there are some books where we're really on the same page, and there's others where we're very mixed messages in the way we received it. But I think because I think Roomies has an aspect for both of us in what we can see. Like, for you, it's more of the seeing certain things, and for me, it's a lot of my passions in one place. And the travel aspect, which neither of us are doing right now. So it is strange, and I'd like to see on our next big read along that whether it's the same again or whether we're very different in our thought process.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yes, we are currently buddy reading a bit of Mike Gale's backlist. We have 4 titles. My March TBR tells you what we're reading when. So we're on to our second book in that one. So we shall see how we get along with that one. Obviously, he's just got his like Lifetime Achievement Award from the Romantic Novelists Association in the UK, which is very fortuitous that we decided to read his books as he's getting that award. So
I know, and they've just repackaged all of his books, haven't they? All the covers,
yeah,
different covers.
Yeah. I have a variety of different covers, and most of them have stickers on as well. So it's like, what's going on? But yeah, it's always interesting kind of binging like this. Like, and even like we did with our page tune novels, I think we didn't end up having the same favorites with the page tune books. And
one that stood out that we both hadn't read until then. But other than that, yeah, we were very different in our thoughts on those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like doing like binges of authors, because you can kind of see which authors like really do write different books from time to time, and which authors kind of like go down a very sort of similar formula. A bit like watching all the Marvel movies back to back. It's like it's the same formula, but yeah. Whereas other authors take different tropes and different settings and
mix them up. Yeah.
Yeah. And some authors mix every single trope in one book, and it ends up being amazing.
Yay. Yeah.
Okay, well, we have talked for nearly an hour and 10 minutes now, which is quite impressive. So I am going to sign off. If you have joined us live, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching after the fact, let us know in the comments which of these you've read, if you've enjoyed any of them, or if you've taken away any recommendations from this video. Thank you so much to Hayley.
It's been a pleasure, as always,
for joining me. And yeah, Hayley's links are in the description box if you do not already follow her. Yes, and we have Mum's been watching.
Hey. I was wondering if we had anyone watching us. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah. So yeah, I think actually, yeah, Mum, you would enjoy reading Inner Holidays, because it's Christmas but Groundhog Day themed, and I know that you love both of those aspects. So
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think Hayley and I will probably be back to discuss some more books in a month or so. So we will see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.